and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be kind of a continuation of my sorority recruitment video. If you haven't already checked out that video, the link for it will be in the description down below. Today's video, what I'm going to be talking about is kind of some of the highs and the lows that I had of being in a sorority. So if you want to hear a little bit more about my sorority experience, just keep watching. Because I want to end this video on a high note, I'm going to go ahead and start off the video with things that I didn't like or things that bothered me in a sorority. Honestly, the thing that stands out the most to me is sort of relationships with other people in Greek life. That was something that always kind of really bothered me. I'm someone who I really like having genuine conversation. I always used to say I hate small talk, but it's not really that I hate small talk. I just really hate those sort of surface level interactions that you have with people when they're asking you like, oh hey, how are you? And like you don't even stay in the conversation long enough to hear their answer. It's just sort of a mechanical thing that comes out of your mouth like, oh hey, how are you? And there's no genuine like want behind it to actually know how the person is doing. And I feel like a lot of that goes on in Greek life. It's a lot of sort of fake niceness that happens, and it depends on if that fraternity likes your sorority or different things like that. And it's not necessarily within the girls in a chapter. It wasn't necessarily with anyone in my chapter or anyone in other sororities, but it definitely happens a lot in fraternity. The fraternities put way more weight on what sorority you're in than should be put on it, than actually matters at all. I know some schools more of the rank and things like that people care about social rank of sororities and like where they fall on the social scale or whatever the heck it is. Some schools that's like a lot of a bigger issue than other schools. I felt like it definitely was a thing at Florida State. I didn't really see it as much because of the sorority that I was in, but I feel like that is a really big issue, as in like people within Greek life kind of see you a certain way from the sorority that you're in, whereas people who aren't in Greek life honestly could not care less. Like you can tell them your letters and it literally will not matter. But it definitely is that stigma that goes along with whatever your chapter is. Other people in Greek life definitely do see that, especially guys, and sort of the relationship that you have with guys in fraternities kind of sucks. It was really annoying to me. Getting into my second point is date functions. Every chapter and every school kind of has their setup for date functions differently, so I can't really speak on all of them. But generally the idea of a date function is that there's going to be a theme for a party or whatever it is, and it's going to be a rented out space that's like predetermined, pre-approved by the university and by the chapter, and all of your sisters are going to go there and we're all going to have dates. So normally a few days beforehand or an hour beforehand, and whenever the deadline is, you have to have your date's name in so that they can be pre-approved, so that when you get there everyone checks in and everyone has been approved, so you don't have any like weirdos at the date function. So that's sort of the general idea of a date function if you did not know. The issue with date functions is a lot of the time, unless you have a long-term boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever it is, you don't have someone to take to these date functions. The idea sounds kind of cool. It's like, okay, like there are these fun theme parties that you get to go to, and you get to bring like some hot guy to take pictures with and have fun with all night with your sisters. And, you know, it sounds like a great idea. When it comes to actually getting a date when you are single in college, it's a nightmare. For me personally, it was even worse because I did not drink until I was 21. I had no alcohol in my entire life until I was 21, and especially at Florida State, which is a pretty big party school, alcohol is a really big thing. That's how people bond. That's like a big thing going out. It's kind of a really messed up culture, but we're not going to even talk about that. But it's a really big deal for drinking. And so it's not necessarily like there's any kind of peer pressure if people want you to drink, but guys feel so awkward when they know you're going to be sober all night. I don't know if it's just, you know, guys don't actually know how to act around girls when they're sober, or if I'm just super mean or whatever it was, but it was always just so intimidating because girls would get random dates. So when you find out about a date function and you don't know who to bring and you're not really talking to anyone or dating anyone to have someone to bring, usually what girls will do is if they have a date who's going who they either don't know really well or is their boyfriend, if they're in a fraternity, they'll usually ask other guys in the fraternity who wants to go on this date function, because then they have like their bros to hang out with, like they have their friends to hang out with, and then it's like a whole big happy family. You'll get like a list of guys who are interested in going on this date function, and then so you kind of have like you're picking up like who you want to go with, which is just sort of a weird process if you think about it. Anyway, when it comes down to that, a lot of guys feel very weird when you don't drink. And so me, I think I only ever brought dates to, like, I was in a sorority for 3 years, and I only brought dates on like maybe 4 or 5 of them, if that even. I would honestly usually just go by myself because I was like, I'm gonna go and hang out with my sisters and I'll do whatever and I'll have fun. But I don't want to be, one, responsible for a guy I barely know. 2, I don't want to feel embarrassed that I'm not gonna drink and so he's gonna feel awkward, because that happened to me before. I had went on a date function and the guy didn't know that I didn't drink, and when we got there he felt so weird that he literally ditched me. So that was super fun because he felt so weird that I was gonna be sober all night that he couldn't have his own fun. It's just a weird concept because I'm never saying you can't drink, and I'm never saying like, oh, I hate drinking. My thing was always, I'm not gonna drink, I'm not 21, so I'm just gonna wait. Like, you can have your fun, like I'm a good time, like it's whatever. But then people still feel awkward, and that was just a really weird thing to me. So it was always a huge struggle for me to find a date. And I always, like I said, ended up bringing guy friends. There was a few times where I brought like a guy I was talking to. I think there was only 2, and the last one was my boyfriend, and we've been dating for a while, and it was sort of my last function, and so I told him that he had to come, and we had a great time. The whole dynamic between not drinking, I feel like I lost track of what I was saying, and I kind of went on tangents, which is what tends to happen when I tell stories. So it's definitely a big thing between like the dynamic between guys and girls in Greek life, and between like going on date functions and trying to find a date, and with my added stress of also not drinking, it also made it kind of difficult. So the next thing I want to talk about is not necessarily applicable for being in a sorority in general, but it's something that you have the opportunity to do being in a sorority, and that is sweetheart competitions. So basic rundown, sweetheart competitions, one fraternity has this competition for one girl to be an honorary member of their fraternity. Like most of the things that I'm gonna say, all fraternity chapters, all schools, all that kind of stuff, they all do this a little bit differently. Some chapters literally just do a brotherhood vote, which I think is sort of the best way to do it, because that's sort of the idea, is you want your sweetheart to be someone that everyone loves in the chapter. That's the general idea. Some chapters do it that way, where it's literally just a brotherhood vote and they vote on who it is, and then she gets crowned or whatever it is. And that's that. But then other fraternities make it sort of a competition where they raise money for their philanthropy. So they have different events that go on and different parts of the competition that you do, where they're doing sort of different things throughout like a week span or a few days in order to raise money for their philanthropy, and then whoever raises the most money is the winner. So again, sounds like a great idea, but doesn't really normally work out that well. But the downside that I'm going to talk about here is I was actually lucky enough to be in 2 different sweetheart competitions for 2 different fraternities, 2 different years, obviously. And one of them I had an amazing experience. It was great as far as the brothers, and the other one, it was kind of terrible as far as the brothers. I'm not going to do any name dropping, but if you know me, you know who they are. So the thing about doing these sweetheart competitions is, back to my first point about there kind of being a lot of sort of judgment and weirdness within Greek life, but not so much out of it, is within the sweetheart competitions, again, I'm speaking for the school that I was at, it's not like this at every school, but if the chapter that you're running for is not a top tier fraternity, or is not one that all the girls know, or all the girls love, all the boys there, it is really difficult to get support. A lot of chapters do this differently. Some chapters make supporting sweetheart events mandatory, some don't. Different Panhellenic associations have different rules regarding sweetheart competition, so they're all super different. But I'm gonna talk about my personal experience. For my very first sweetheart competition that I did, it was my sophomore year. It was the first year I was in that sorority, and it worked out perfectly because I had already known the men of that fraternity before that, my freshman year, before I was even in a sorority, and they were all my friends then. So when I joined a sorority and they were still my friends, and it was like they had liked me before I had sort of a Greek letter with me, kind of made them more genuine to me and made it feel more real. It was like these were my actual friends that I was running for their sweetheart, and so it really had meaning to me. I was super excited about the whole competition. We painted a bar, we had a bull riding competition, we did a whole bunch of stuff, and I was excited about all this stuff, and I was at all of the events and super excited to meet all the brothers. They were all super nice, they all wanted to get to know me, they always said hi to me, they knew who I was when I walked around their house, all that kind of stuff, and it was just overall great. However, when it came to participation, they have a lot of events where they want girls to show up, and that's sort of an incentive for me, is like, okay, I get points depending on how many people come to this event, or I get points depending on how many people buy tickets for this philanthropy thing and different things like that. And it was really difficult. It was like pulling teeth to get girls to come to my event. And honestly, it was really upsetting for me because it was something that I was really excited for and I really felt like I could win. But because I didn't have that support, I knew that one, the boys were gonna see that and see that, yeah, she's really great, we love her, but as far as the competition goes, like, she's not bringing girls around, like, she's not putting in as much as sort of the other girls are as far as participation. And so it was really sad for me because I was really hurt that a lot of my good friends weren't coming to these events and there to support me for something that I was really excited about. So that was disheartening, and that, like I said, goes back to the whole like politics, I guess you can say, of inside of Greek life and people seeing tiers and people worrying about like the status of any chapter and acting like that has any real bearing in real life. It doesn't. Fast forwarding to my second sweetheart competition, this one was, I already knew that I was at least the fraternity's second choice to run as sweetheart because I had known they had asked my friend and she didn't do it, so they were asking me. I'm already your guys' second choice, but you know what, like I really like this fraternity, I really like a lot of the guys in there, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it. So this one was way different. They didn't have sort of a bunch of different events that happened that I could go and like participate and meet all the guys and be at the house. It was sort of just a few sporadic things, and then I had to go out of my way to go to the house for just like hanging out in random events. The guys were not always introducing themselves to me. Most of the new pledges did not know who I was. A lot of the guys, even after the competition, after I had done the few days or week or however long it was with them, still did not know who I was and never knew that I ran for their sweetheart, would introduce themselves to me, and I was like, yeah, I ran for your sweetheart. I have like my few friends that I loved in that fraternity, but since then I was, no, like you guys really were just in this just so you could have someone from my chapter represent you guys. You really weren't supportive of me, you really weren't there for me. And with this one, I still had the same issue of girls were not coming to the events that I was having. This one was even harder because I sort of had expectations I did from the first one because I knew how it went with sweetheart competitions, and I knew that I wasn't gonna have full participation, lots of people coming and like a great turnout, but I was still expecting people to sort of come because I was sort of being more real with people that I really just needed the support, and it was still another letdown with getting girls to come, you know, just not an overall good experience. So I definitely think that's something that sucks. Okay, so I'm sure that I'm gonna make more of these videos. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below at any point. If you have any feedback for me, if you want to hear a little bit more about any story that I'm talking about, just let me know. But I'm gonna go ahead and cut off there because those are sort of the two kind of big things that really stuck out to me as things that really bothered me that came with sort of being in a sorority. So now turning this thing into the highs I had of being in a sorority. One of the first things I'm going to talk about is philanthropy. So St. Jude Children's Research Hospital was the philanthropy for my sorority, and honestly the passion and sort of just the love that you see from girls getting involved with the philanthropy and just sort of the joy that there is in raising money for a great cause, in my case for St. Jude, is amazing. And honestly the biggest thing that, one, sold my family on me joining, and two, really like kept me excited and made me very proud of being a part of that chapter because of the huge difference that we make in St. Jude. All chapters have different philanthropies, and sometimes it even varies by school for different local charities and local organizations and things like that. But seeing all the girls, regardless if we're super close or if we just kind of know each other, everyone comes together to raise money and to rally and do as much as we can for these different philanthropies on campus, and that's sort of one of the most amazing things to me, and that's definitely like probably my biggest high of being a part of a chapter in a sorority. The second thing I'm going to talk about for my high of being in a chapter is that the involvement that it gave me. A sorority is really a great way for you to get involved in one thing that also helps you get involved in so many other things. A big thing is chapters really want you to be well-rounded women. They want you to be involved in lots of things. They want you to do community service. They want you to be academics. They want you to be just an all-around great person. They're gonna push you to be involved in lots of different things. Whenever I was talking to girls about being in a chapter, that was one of the sort of selling points that I had, was like, yeah, okay, you're joining a sorority and it's a huge time commitment, but you're doing so many other things as a member of that chapter. Like I talked about, they're pushing you to do philanthropy. There's gonna be girls involved in student government and different other aspects on campus that will help you get involved in that. But far beyond that is you're being encouraged to go to all the other events from different chapters on campus. So that gives you exposure to lots of other different things. You get involved with different things on campus that groups get to do, such as like homecoming, all different things that as being part of a chapter and as being part of an organization, you are getting to do all of those separate things. And so that's something that I really loved about being in a sorority, is sort of the well-rounded involvement that it gave me. I even wanted to get involved beyond my sorority because I felt like that involvement wasn't enough for me. I really wanted to get involved in student government, and so I did. and a few other organizations on campus as well. But I just think that it's really a great thing that yes, it is time consuming and yes, you have a lot to do, but you're doing a lot while being a part of the chapter. And so that was something that was really great. Those are going to be my last points that I have for you guys. Just a few of my highs and lows of being in a chapter. Make sure you guys let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Do you want some more videos like this? Did you think this was helpful? If you're a part of a chapter, did you have some similar experiences? Did you have some very different experiences that you'd like to share and have it put in your 2 cents? Go ahead and put those in the comments down below. If you'd like to see any more videos like this, let me know what you'd like to hear me talk about a little bit more. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to turn on those post notifications so you can get notified as soon as a new video comes out.